Vampire Slayer is probably the most confusing and hardest part of the Rift, which is already confusing enough. So with my 400 plus kills on Vampire Slayer bosses and our over 100 hours of playtime in the Rift, I'm gonna help you do Vampire Slayer bosses with ease. Oh yeah, and by the way, there's timestamps for each too. In this guide, I'll be talking about strats on killing the boss, what armor you should be wearing, progression you should be at, and etc. But if you want a more of a detailed explanation, I'm gonna link all the vampire bosses I'm killing in the background of the video in the description. And in the video, I'll be voice overing what I'm doing though. Now, I'm gonna get straight to the point. Let's talk why Vampire Slayer makes so much money. There are two main items that makes money: the unfanged vampire part and the one book. The unfanged vampire part is going around 60 million coins, and the one book is also going for 60 million coins, making at least 20 to 40 million coins per hour doing a slayer. To maximize profit, you need a booster cookie and a beacon with magic find on it. Now, when starting your Vampire Slayer grind, you would probably have a set looking like this. Now, this set should get you by none of the bosses. Now, the armor and the weapon you have isn't the problem yet. The problem is the boss has an ability called whatever that is, which means the boss drains your amount of hearts by 0.5 hearts, and in 20 seconds if you don't do anything, you die. So to avoid that, you need to heal. To heal, you have to use melons. Yeah, melons. Melons are dropped by vampires, and once you get 12 melons, you can craft them to your basic healing melon. Now, you should be ready to kill a tier 1 boss. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to get more damage from your weapon, there are stuff called effigies. There are 6 around the entire map. And to get the maximum of damage, which is 12 plus damage, you have to make all 6 of them. They can only be broken from top to bottom. Now, you're ready to kill a tier 1. Now, this should be light work. As soon as you spawn the boss, you have to keep hitting it. And remember to heal once in a while. I would recommend healing around half HP. Now, this is gonna be the hard part. After you hit him a few times, you go into the second phase, which is called Mania. In Mania, you have to go to highlighted spots of the circle, and you gotta do the same until Mania is over. Now, you don't have to worry about Mania too much. Barely does any damage to you, but it does get a lot more dangerous for the next tiers. Editing Naillic here. So, everything after this is for the tier 2 boss, because I kinda messed up in the script. So after Mania, just kill the boss and that's it. Make sure to listen to this though, because this is very important for every other tiers, including the tier 5. By the way, while I'm here, please subscribe. I'm trying to get YouTube rank so I can skip the queue in the fortune update. So if you want to help me reach that, please subscribe. Thanks. Now once Mania is over, you're going to the last and third phase. The boss will do an ability called Stone Wrath. There are 2 sections of Stone Wrath. For the first section, the boss will spawn 3 these things, which each will strip a heart from you, and killing them turns them into heads, and killing them makes your hearts come back. Now, in the second section of Stone Wrath, the boss flies up and starts aiming at you, and after a bit of time, it will lock onto the location you're standing at. And this is a mistake a lot of people get wrong, and to be honest, I was getting wrong until I got really used to it. You have to point the Stone Wrath to the heads. And if you don't, you have to do it all over again, because they will respawn. And that should be it. After that happens, just keep on killing it until it gets 0 HP. Quick summary. Hit the boss, remember to heal, remember to go to the highlighted spot in Mania, and point the target to the heads. Now, this one's gonna be short. The tier 2 is just tier 1, but a bit harder. The boss has one more brand new ability. The boss will throw this pillow thing at you every 7 seconds, besides certain manias. So you don't need to worry about too much yet. So you have 2 options. Either using your healing melon to heal yourself after the Train Claws attack, or the quicker and better option, get the Holy Eyes. The Holy Eyes and the other items such as a sword and a new armor piece is unlocked after getting level 1. If you right click the Holy Eyes, you can block the Train Claws attack, and some other attacks for 2 seconds. And that's it for tier 2. Just do the same thing you did with tier 1 to secure the tier 2. Shouldn't be that much harder. Quick recap. New really called Train Claws that does 3 hearts if it hits you, and you can block it by Holy Icing. For the tier 3 boss, we're going to need a few more upgrades for the boss. I would highly recommend getting the sword and armor piece you unlocked in Vampire Slayer 1. Since the sword has a lifesteal ability. For every mob you hit, you regenerate half a heart back. and 5 mana. And if you hold it, it also gives you speed. I would also recommend getting Vampire Slayer 2 before doing this boss, because this unlocks 3 useful items for you. The Stake, Maddox Spadphone, and a new Healing Melon. Let's start off with the Healing Melon. The crafted Healing Melon users need 16 current seals, dropped by all the Vampire Slayer bosses, and a normal Healing Melon. The melon will now heal you by extra 2 hearts. Now the Maddox Spadphone works exactly as its counterpart, the Maddox Spadphone, but it does a ring, so you can instantly use the phone with no delay. Now for the best upgrade that will save you so much time, the Stake. The Stake can be crafted with 3 enchanted barbarians, gathered at the Dread Farm, and with 18 current seals. Now with that crafted, you can one-shot bosses when they get below 20% of the respective health. Here's an example. To one-shot a tier 3 boss, you need to use a Stake at 360 HP. But if you don't want to do the math or aren't bothered to look up the HP all the time, you can use mods to tell you when to stake. The mod I highly recommend is Skyhoney. It has really useful features for other areas in the Rift, and also has a lot more features for other tiers of the boss. The mod link is in my Discord server. But most clients such as Badline and Nuno have this, so you don't really need it. But I would highly recommend it for doing the tier 5 boss. Now for the boss, there's 2 new abilities, Impel and Killer Spring. Let's start off with Killer Spring. The boss during its last phase will spawn a spring of candles, which you need to break it by using left and right click. If you don't do it in time, you would die. Now Impel is very annoying. It activates during the mania phase for tier 3, and it will make you do a certain move. For example, the boss might make you punch upwards or sneak or jump. Now for everything else, it's just a tier 2 but a bit harder. Again, I have links to all the bosses with no cuts, so if you ever get confused, just look there. Quick recap. Get all the 3 upgrades, the sword and the helmet. The helmet is very useful since it gives you an extra heart and more whip time. Stake the boss at 360 HP. During Impel, you have to do the boss's order, and for the Killer Spring, left and right click until it disappears. If you have any more problems, use Skyhoney for extra help. Now, the tier 4 is a big step up from the tier 3. Good news, you can now drop the Unfanged Vampire part. You have Vampire Slayer level 5. And there is no brand new abilities to learn, but all the other abilities got heavily buffed. Impel is now more dangerous, as well as Twinkloss and Mania is way harder. The tier 4 now has 2400 health, so that means you have to stake at 480 HP. Now I would recommend getting level 3 before attempting this boss, because it has 4 massive upgrades. One of them is the Blood Badge. The Blood Badge isn't a healing or damage or even a defensive item, but it's a crafting item, used in most of the crafting recipes in Vampire Slayer. To craft it, you have to kill the main 2 bosses of the Rift, Backday and Leech Supreme, and kill every single crux 16 times. The next recipe that's unlocked is the Vampire Time Charm. This upgrade is very useful since it gives you an extra heart and more mana regen, but at the same time I will craft this after getting consistent with tier 4s and doing tier 5. The next upgrade is the Leggings of the Coven. It is very useful since it gives you an extra heart, more mana regen, and rift time. It has an extra secret ability that gives you double the stats of the armor piece. It has a setting that you can dye to whatever color you want. You have 2 options here, leave it blank or make it black. Since most of the community has agreed that black is the best color, most people wear it. One more thing you need is boots. The best boots are the snake in a boot. It is crafted with living metal hearts. Now let's talk on how to kill it. Once the boss spawns in, just block the Twinkloss with the holy eyes and heal occasionally. Now in Mania, remember to follow what the Impel does and look out for Twinkloss. To make sure Twinkloss doesn't do any knockback to you, as soon as it hits you, press W so you don't gain as much knockback you gain normally. And again, I would highly recommend using mods for this. After Mania, the boss is guaranteed to use his Twinkloss ability, so look out for that. After Mania, the boss will spawn in his minions, and he will continue to go out and in his bat form, basically teleporting around you. And then after you kill his minions, make sure you aim the stun rat on the minions' heads. But if you go in T4s and want fast times, I recommend trying to skip the phase entirely. I'll get into more detail during the tier 5 section of the video. After the Sunrat hits, keep on hitting the boss and healing until it reaches Mania. When you reach Mania, just do the exact same thing you did as last Mania. After Mania finishes, pillars will spawn. Just in case you forgot how to destroy them, all you have to do is left and right click the pillars. After the pillars are destroyed, the boss will go into stone rock. Let's do the same thing as last time for this one. After that, the boss is in its last phase, and only a few more hits until dying. Once the boss reaches 480 HP, that's when you can stick the boss. Quick tip, once the boss is around 600 health, don't bother going for the pillar that he spawns in, since you'd be wasting time. And you can kill the boss before it explodes. Quick recap, get to Vampire Slayer 3 or 4, grind up some blood badges, get the new gear, change the armor color to black, keep hitting the boss until mania and repeat again until the boss is dead. And also keep healing with the melon and icing on the time. Now, we are finally what everyone is here for. The tier 5 Rift Stalker Blood Fiend. The tier 5 is probably one of the hardest bosses in the game. This boss takes so many attempts to kill. And this is not because you need endgame gear or you need every Shen's auction item. This is because this boss requires actual skill to beat. To even attempt the boss, you need the best skill you can get. You need Vampire Slayer 5, the Time Charm, Silver Trisk Karambit, the best Healing Melon, the upgrade of the Anti-Bite Scarf, the Wielder Tuber, Lively Sep Ultra Chestplate, and last but not least, the Vampire Dentist Relic. Okay. So, those are a lot of items. So, let's talk about how we get these items. Okay, so the bare requirement to get all these items is Vampire level 5. This took me around, 1 hour from doing T4s. Now, T4 will get a lot easier as you progress on getting Vampire level 4, and just getting better at the boss overall. And you will unlock the most important items for T5 and T4 bosses. The first item you unlock is the Silver Trisk Karambit. It's the upgrade to your previous sword and it's way better. It does 3 extra whiff damage, 5 more speed, and regen 6 mana and half a heart every single hit. Now, the next upgrade is just a melon, so we can skip that. The next is an Anti-Bite Scarf, which is a better version of the previous helmet, which was also called the Anti-Bite Scarf. Very creative naming. The next item is the Wielder Tuber, which is a need but will speed up your bosses. And it's good for speed during the mania phase. Now if you're doing T4 and you're getting at least 4 kills an hour, which is not even hard to do, you get it in an hour. Now we are on the last vampire level. Lucky for you, it only has 2 items. One of them is the chestplate, and the last one is a Vampire Dentist Relic. And this is where you're going to start owning money from the Rift. Vampire level 5 enables 3 new drops. Make Rubber Burgles, Unfanged Vampire Pod, and an Enchanted Book Bundle. The Book Bundle goes for 60 million coins, as well as the Unfanged Vampire Pod. Now, the Make Rubber Burgle can't be transferred to the overworld, but can be in for Skyblock XP. And you gain more whiff time. And you also get more mulch from the mulch grubber. But it can only be eaten 5 times until you can't eat anymore. Now, the chestplate is the most important piece here, as it gains you the most amount of mana regen, the most amount of mana, and an extra heart. Now the Vampire Dentist Relic is not a need for tier 5, but if you're struggling or you already dropped one, the Vampire Dentist Relic is really useful since it gives you an extra heart, which doesn't seem that much at first, but trust me, that is a lot. And if you already dropped one, no need to worry, you can just keep it in your inventory and just transport it back to the overworld. And even outside the Rift is one of the better accessories. It gives you a lot of natural regen, hence why it costs 60 million coins. And if you have all these items, congrats! You now finally have the equipment to kill the tier 5 Rift Stalker Blood Fiend. Now, let's talk on how to kill this thing. Okay, so the tier 5 only has one more ability added to it. It's called the Blood Icon. On how you look in it, this might be an easy thing to get used to, or one of the hardest. The Blood Icon will add an extra half a heart of damage to the boss. So since the boss drains 1.5 hearts per second, it would make it to 2 hearts drained a second, instead of 1.5 hearts a second. And it will kill you instantly if you don't destroy it in under 25 seconds. Now, to destroy this, you have to bamboozle the boss with its own Train class ability to destroy its own icon. Now, when the boss throws out its icon, the best way to destroy it is to stand onto it, and then wait until the boss throws its Train class ability. And that should be it. So now, let's talk on how to kill this boss. Now, before even spawning in the boss, you would want to spawn it downstairs, close where the entrance is. The reason being is it's big enough for mania and not too many people go down there. So you won't get people who have no clue what they're doing trying to help you. In our ideal world, you want to get 52 whiff damage. But if you don't have that, 45 plus whiff damage should be good. And if you don't have that, just break down to FNGs. Now, when the boss spawns, after a few seconds, it will spawn a blood icon. And a few seconds after that, the boss will do its train class ability. So what I would recommend you to do is to hit the boss, and when you hear the twin class sound effect, you have to run to the icon and then ice the twin class. Now, if you miss the twin class, you have enough time to try again. So don't stress too much. And after this, just remember to heal when you get low, and keep hitting the boss. After this, the boss will go into mania. Now, this mania isn't really hard, it's just an upgraded part of the tier 4 mania. Now, this mania is really hard. Now, Impel one-shots you, and Mania also one-shots you. Now, after Mania, the boss will spawn in another icon. This will happen for every single phase after this. Even if it's Mania, the boss will spawn an icon. Now, again, for the icon, try to aim the Twinkles into the icon. Now, in a scenario where you can't get to the icon, similar to Mania, I will try to aim the Twinkles from behind him. But this is way more riskier than Mania because the boss has a chance to go to his platform and move out of the way. Now, where the icon spawns in, the boss's minions will spawn in, and if you watch the tier 2 section of the video, you should be fine. But just in case you skipped ahead, just kill the minions, and wait until the boss goes up to the sky, and aim the target into the head to destroy them. Now, after this, if you haven't died yet, you just have to keep hitting the boss until mania. Now, this mania is going to be harder than the last one, since the boss spawns in his blood icon now. Now, there's going to be two scenarios when this happens. The first one is the blood icon is in front of the boss. Now, the first scenario would be the blood icon is in front of the boss or behind the boss. If it's in front of the boss, try to stand on the path where the train cross will hit it. If it's behind the boss, you would also want to stand on the path where it would go, since the train cross goes backwards and forwards. And that's it for the second mania. Now, after the second mania, a lot of stuff's gonna happen at the same time. This is where a lot of people will die. The first thing is the boss spawns in an icon, and then its minions. What is new is a second or two after the minions spawn, he will spawn in a Killer Spring. Now, in this scenario, there's three major things going on. What I like to do here is try to go for the blood icon first while killing his minions, and waiting for his string claws. After that, that would be the time to go to the Killer Spring. But make sure to be really quick to get the pillow, because the boss will fly up to the L, therefore blocks the spawning, and it will block the last candy of the break, therefore you dying, which is a very annoying feeling. So trust me, be quick. But this will take some practice, so if my method isn't working out for you, try to go for the pillow first and then worry the icon after the stun rat, because it's guaranteed for a train class to activate after stun rat. Now, once that's finished, there's nothing new. It's just a repeat of a mania and the 5 abilities it does in you after. Now, there isn't really anything else I can say besides just keep looking out for your health. Now, if it's your first time doing tier 5, don't expect it to be easy, because trust me, this will take multiple attempts. Now, these are some tips I've gathered from doing vampire bosses. Number 1. During mania, when the boss does his train cross attack, press W before it hits you, so you get rid of most of the knockback. This is very useful at tier 5 since mania one-shots you. Number 2. I've already said this, but it's really important. Make sure to aim the target at the dead heads during Stone Wrath. You don't understand how many people I've seen just move around and don't aim the target at the heads. Number 3. Make sure to have at least 5 minutes of whiff time before doing any boss. Number 4. Get all the whiff talismans for the max amount of mana, so you don't run out of any during bosses. Number 5. Set your ondrae meter to the 1. Trust me, you don't want to grind 16 of each crux and kill Bangde and Leech Supreme just to make a dent in Tooth Relic. Number 6. Save up your mans until you get all the McRobbers burgers needed, since 5 McRobbers burgers gives 25% more motes if you don't have any. This is a mistake I did, and I lost around 500,000 motes from not doing this. And that's all the tips I have so far. So feel free to comment down below and ask me any questions you have about vampires though. So please subscribe and like. This video is taking me Now, I think it's time I finally get this finished.